What's up, everyone? How's it going? Welcome to this week's pre-week analysis alongside today's pre-market analysis. So, with that being said, let's get straight into it, right? So, what I'm going to do right now is open up the news. We're going to go over that, but essentially, there's not really anything crazy we have to worry about for this week in general. We do have CPI on Friday, but once again, nothing that's very crazy. So today, the 20th, we basically don't have anything we have to worry about. Trump is going to meet the Australian Prime Minister today at 10, but those types of things usually get delayed, so our entire trading session should be pretty empty. So there's that. German Boba president. Nothing on Monday. Tuesday, we have Canadian CPI, but nothing in our session. Wednesday, we have Great British Pound CPI, but once again, I mean, we have crude oil in our session, so that's the only thing we should be aware of. Thursday, we have flash services, flash manufacturing, and natural gas storage. So only, I mean, 9 and 9:30 we should look out for at Thursday, but once again, nothing significant at all. And on Friday, we have our CPI. So depending on how the CPI release is, we might be able to capture some good opportunities. We're going to be a bit more aware of higher volatility, but even if there is, using the CPI data could make us make some good plays on Friday. So we're going to have to go and see, but let's get to charting. Market's going to open in around 15 minutes, so we should be able to chart by then. So what I'm going to go ahead and start doing is marking out all the main key liquidity levels that we should worry about. And honestly, we don't have to go overboard with the marking simply because of the range that we've been making. And you see we took out this low, starting to come back up. Now, I want to see more upside action until we see a reaction off of these two levels, but honestly it depends on where Bookmap liquidity is sitting. Yeah. Alright, 4 hour here. Can place that up. Hold on. And then our all-time highs are gonna be here. Yep. So I mean, there's no point in really marking anything else. That's what makes it kind of good for us, because this crazy big move just took out much of these levels over here, that this is lower than any significant level there, and it's probably going to take an entire day or two to even get down to this region, unless you have some crazy news event like that. So with that said, I'm gonna leave this be here. Maybe there's one or two levels below that we should mark until these two. Yeah, these two levels, and then we're good. I'm just marking it out because of the entire context, since we're doing pre-week as well. I don't want to cut out on any information. Alright, there we go. Let's go on the 3 hour. 3 hour, we couldn't consider this as a 3 hour, so uh, 3 hour there. Looking up here as well, we do happen to see a 3 hour there. So what I'm gonna go and do is I'm simply going to extend this up to the all-time highs because I'm not trying to mark out two zones, and doing that will cover the entire range as well. So we have that. Let's hop on the 2 hour unless we have anything else there. I'm not trying to go overboard with those levels below unless we start getting there. Now we do have this standard here and this standard here. Nice. And we do have this standard here, which we look like we're about to tap into. So this 3 hour might be a significant location depending on where Bookmap liquidity is placed and conditioned. But yeah, this is going to be everything that we marked out. Now, this barely helps us in terms of directions. We can only speculate from here, but we can make those predictions using the volume profile and order flow. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is first mark out this. Now you see that volume is within that 50% range, right in the middle, and that makes sense. Still 50% range. I'm going to assume it's near the top now. Yeah, near this liquidity. Near this liquidity. So it's kind of cool that our volume is at these two liquidity levels, and that's where we were seeing reaction off. So that's cool to see. Now let's expand right there. It's just this liquidity. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and switch this to a main liquidity level simply because of the significance that we're seeing with the volume. And I'm gonna expand it there. Okay, so we do have quite a bit of volume up here, and the all-time highs are going to continue to be a magnet for price to head to, as always, because the all-time highs are the all-time highs, and they'll always have a volume and interest, auction interest up at these all-time highs. But our actual high volume node is aligned to this main liquidity level. So what we may see is a takeage of this liquidity on 3 hour, move back down here, and then if I could speculate what could happen there, I would predict it would go up, but we need more information to determine that. That's just my hypothesis. Now, first things first, we do have to see a reaction here. If we don't see a reaction here that goes back down to the mean, we can't really make any assumptions, right? So if we do go back down to the mean, I would want to assume something like that, but very well as well, we could just continue heading higher. And if we continue getting higher, we could get some type of retracement on that, potentially like a break and retest of the 3 hour. So I'm looking for something like this. Once again, if something like this happens, we could also predict that, but these are my two preferred outcomes for right now coming into the market and also this entire week, right? If we do this, we can head back up to the all-time highs, same with here. But if we break this, continue all the way down to this 3 hour region or potentially down here where we can reject again. But this is just what I'm seeing. Got it. Let's go ahead and do MQ. Just mark this out as a zone. And this time I'm not going to mark below this region because as we saw in ES, it didn't really yield any benefit. We marked it out just in case though because it could have, and that potential makes it also valid to mark it out. We do have this level right here, and then we're gonna have this level up here as well. So already NQ seems to be leading the way, showing more of a bullish potential. We're already in this 4 hour and we're pushing higher and higher. So there's that. Essentially, we just need to identify direction as the market progresses. Once that direction is identified, then we can attempt to follow the direction depending on what we see. Uh, 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 uh. Mm, 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 Not gonna mark that out. Not gonna mark that out. Not gonna mark that out. Not gonna mark that. Not gonna mark that out. There we go. So this is how it looks on here. Line profile right in the middle. Up top, that level. Right there. Right there. Strong there. Okay. So I would assume it's this region right here. It's right between. Interesting. Let's see 30 minutes. If there's 30-minute, there is. I'm gonna mark this as our main liquidity. Okay, so essentially I'm seeing the same thing here, but NQ is just pushing up higher. There's a lot more buying strength on NQ, and you can see that because we're already in this 4 hour zone and we're pushing up higher lows, higher highs. Now, depending on how we react to this liquidity, then we can see if we head to this lower part or we continue heading up higher. But that's essentially going to determine my way of determining direction for today. And depending on the directional condition that we have found, then we can make some potential plays off of that. But what we've seen is that volatility has driven up significantly, and right now volatility is just coming back down to our positive good locations, right? To this 15 through 17-ish level, right? That's gonna be our key range for volatility, right? And I would not be surprised if we continue this downtrend and head back to the mean, which means bullish. So pretty much everything's leading bullish, but we might need a retracement before we head bullish. So now that we've analyzed that in that nature, let's go ahead and head on to the 30-minute, 15-minute, see if there's anything there just prior to when market is going to open. So we do have a 30-minute zone here. It's not as high quality as I would want, so I'm not going to mark it out. I don't want to clutter my chart too much. Alright, nothing on the 30-minute significantly. So we can mark this again. The tick is way too high. Yeah, I'm not gonna mark it out. We have our actually, I am gonna mark it out. Why? Because this is our mean reversion area. So if we do retrace, it's gonna be a good area to seek out interest as well. So yeah, I am gonna keep that there. But other than that, there's nothing really I need to mark out. 5-minute, 5 minutes for retrade. So there's that. And go ahead and do the same on NQ. 30-minute. Yeah, this region there. I'm looking for 30-minute though. 30-minute, I'm not really seeing too much. 15-minute on the other hand, we do have some sort of significance there, but again, here I'm not going to mark it up because that mean was much more syncrotic with ES than it was with NQ. Because our mean is down here where we don't really have anything on NQ. And on ES, it was like somewhere aligned with this structure. So there's that once again. And essentially here's what we're going to be looking at to trade, and as you can see, it does look quite choppy. That's 200 ticks. So this 4 hour is a pretty big range. And it looks like we just tapped into that region. So yeah, I mean, what I'm gonna do now is conclude this pre-week and pre-market session. Hold on. Yeah, I'm gonna conclude this pre-week and pre-market hybrid session. We've gone over our preferable outcomes, but I'm gonna start seeing if there's any trades to take in the live market. And I'll see you guys later today for the market analysis session. So, I guess, wait, I'm not done yet. If you have any questions, feel free to check out the Discord. The link is in the description down below. To use any of the order flow tools, to have lots of free functionality, check out the links in the description as well, especially with Addis or one of our channel partners. And yeah, that's all I have for today. I'll see you guys in the evening. Goodbye.